Picture this. You're 7 months pregnant, glowing with anticipation for your first child, when your CEO husband drops a bombshell that will shatter your world in ways you never imagined. Pack your bags, Catherine. I want you out by tonight. But this isn't just another story about infidelity. This is about a predator so skilled, so calculating, that she turned a successful businessman into her personal ATM, while his pregnant wife fought for their unborn child's life. What Rick Morrison didn't know was that his personal trainer, Amber Sinclair, wasn't who she claimed to be. She wasn't even Amber Sinclair at all. She was a career criminal with multiple identities, a string of devastated families in her wake, and a criminal record that would make your blood run cold. While Kate Morrison lay in a hospital bed trying to prevent premature labor, this master manipulator was draining millions from the accounts of a man too blinded by flattery to see the trap closing around him. By the time Rick realized the truth, his daughter had been born, his fortune was gone, and the woman he'd married in a Vegas chapel had vanished like smoke. But Kate's story doesn't end there, because sometimes the strongest people are forged in the fire of unimaginable betrayal. Pack your bags, Catherine. I want you out by tonight. The coffee mug slipped from Kate Morrison's trembling fingers and shattered against the marble kitchen floor. The sound echoed through their five-bedroom home like a gunshot. She stood there, 7 months pregnant, staring at her husband Rick as if he were a stranger. "What did you say?" Kate whispered, one hand instinctively moving to her rounded belly. Rick Morrison, chief executive officer of Morrison Tech Consulting, adjusted his designer tie without meeting her eyes. At 38, he still looked like the ambitious man she'd married 5 years ago, but something cold had settled in his expression. "You heard me," Rick said, his voice steady and businesslike. "I've been unhappy for months. I need space to figure things out. This arrangement isn't working anymore." Kate felt the baby kick hard against her ribs, as if responding to her surge of adrenaline. "Arrangement? Rick, I'm your wife. I'm carrying your child." "That's exactly the problem." Rick opened his laptop on the kitchen island, typing as he spoke. "Everything revolves around the pregnancy now. The baby this, the baby that. I can't even have a conversation with you anymore without it becoming about your discomfort or your cravings or your doctor's appointments." The words hit Kate like physical blows. She gripped the edge of the granite countertop to steady herself. "Rick, this is our first child. Of course I'm focused on the pregnancy. I thought you were excited about becoming a father." "I was," Rick said, still not looking at her. "But I didn't realize how completely you disappear into this whole mother role. You don't even work anymore. You just sit around the house all day, getting bigger and more demanding." Kate's mouth fell open. They'd agreed she would take early maternity leave when her job as a marketing executive became too stressful. Rick had encouraged it, saying he made enough money for both of them. "You told me to quit working," Kate said slowly. "You said you wanted me to rest and focus on having a healthy pregnancy. That was before I realized how boring you'd become." Rick finally looked up from his laptop, his blue eyes cold. "When's the last time we went out? When's the last time you got dressed up for me? All you wear are those hideous maternity clothes, and you're constantly complaining about being tired or nauseous or uncomfortable." Kate stared at him in shock. This couldn't be the man who'd held her hair back during morning sickness just 3 months ago. The man who'd talked excitedly about converting the spare room into a nursery. "Where am I supposed to go?" Kate asked, her voice barely audible. "That's not my problem," Rick said. "Stay with your friend Jennifer. Stay at a hotel. I don't care, but I want you out of this house tonight." The front door opened, and Kate heard the sound of heels clicking across the hardwood floor of the foyer. Her heart sank as a tall, impossibly fit blonde woman appeared in the kitchen doorway. "Hi, baby," the woman said to Rick, completely ignoring Kate's presence. "I brought my workout gear like you asked." Kate recognized her immediately. Amber Sinclair, Rick's personal trainer. She was 26 years old with the kind of body that graced fitness magazine covers. Her platinum blonde hair was pulled back in a perfect ponytail, and she wore skin-tight athletic wear that showed off every sculpted muscle. "Perfect timing," Rick said, his voice warming considerably as he smiled at Amber. "Catherine was just leaving." "Oh." Amber looked at Kate with mock surprise, as if she were genuinely shocked to find Rick's pregnant wife in Rick's kitchen. "I thought she'd already gone." The pieces clicked into place with devastating clarity. This wasn't a sudden decision. Rick had planned this moment, coordinated it with Amber's arrival. Kate felt like she might vomit, and for once it had nothing to do with pregnancy hormones. "How long?" Kate whispered. "How long what?" Rick asked, but his guilty expression gave him away. "How long have you been planning this? How long have you two been—" Kate couldn't finish the sentence. "We're not anything," Amber said sweetly. "Rick just needs some space to focus on his goals. You understand, don't you? Sometimes people grow in different directions." Kate wanted to scream at the condescending tone, but she couldn't find her voice. The baby kicked again, harder this time, and she gasped at the sudden sharp pain. "Are you having contractions?" Rick asked, and for a moment Kate heard genuine concern in his voice. "No," Kate managed. "The baby's just active when I'm upset." "Well, maybe you should go lie down somewhere," Amber suggested. "Stress isn't good for pregnant women. I read that in a magazine." The casual cruelty of the comment broke something inside Kate. This woman was giving her pregnancy advice while stealing her husband. "I need to pack," Kate said quietly. "I'll help you," Rick said, but Kate shook her head. "Don't touch me." She walked slowly toward the stairs, each step feeling like she was climbing a mountain. Behind her, she heard Amber's voice, bright and cheerful. "Should I put my things in the master bedroom closet?" Kate paused on the third step, her hand gripping the banister so tightly her knuckles went white. She turned around to see Rick nodding at Amber. "Make yourself at home," Rick said. That's when Kate realized this wasn't temporary. Rick wasn't just kicking her out for a few days to think things over. He was replacing her entirely, moving his mistress into their bed while Kate was 7 months pregnant with his child. 20 minutes later, Kate struggled down the stairs with a suitcase in each hand, her movements awkward and labored. Rick's business partner Thomas Mitchell had arrived and stood in the foyer, looking deeply uncomfortable. "Kate," Thomas said, stepping forward to help with her bags. "What's going on? Rick said you were visiting your sister." "Rick lied," Kate said simply. Thomas looked confused, glancing between Kate and Rick, who had emerged from the kitchen with Amber attached to his arm like an expensive accessory. "She's being dramatic," Rick said. "We just need some time apart." "While she's pregnant?" Thomas asked, his voice incredulous. "The pregnancy is exactly why we need space," Amber interjected. "Some women become very difficult during pregnancy. It's actually quite common." Thomas stared at Amber like she'd grown a second head. "I'm sorry, who are you?" "Amber Sinclair," she said, extending a perfectly manicured hand. "I'm Rick's personal trainer and wellness coach." "And she's moving into my house," Kate added flatly. The expression on Thomas's face shifted from confusion to disgust. He'd known Rick for 15 years since they'd started their consulting firm together. He'd been best man at Rick and Kate's wedding. "Rick," Thomas said slowly, "what the hell is wrong with you?" "Nothing's wrong with me," Rick snapped. "I'm finally doing what's best for everyone. Kate and I aren't compatible anymore. We want different things." "She's 7 months pregnant with your child," Thomas said. "And that's not going to change," Rick replied. "The baby will still be my responsibility. But Kate and I don't have to live together for me to be a father." Kate felt tears stinging her eyes, but she refused to cry in front of Amber. Instead, she pulled out her phone and called a taxi. "Taxi will be here in 10 minutes, she announced. "Where are you going?" Thomas asked gently. "Jennifer's apartment," Kate said, "until I can figure something else out." "Kate, if you need anything," Thomas began. "She'll be fine," Rick interrupted. "Kate's stronger than she looks." As if to prove him wrong, Kate's knees buckled slightly, and Thomas immediately moved to steady her. The stress and physical exertion of packing had exhausted her completely. "You should see a doctor," Thomas said. "This much stress can't be good for the baby." "The baby's fine," Rick said impatiently. "Kate's always been dramatic about medical stuff." Kate looked at her husband of 5 years, the father of her unborn child, and realized she was looking at a complete stranger. The man she'd married would never have dismissed her health concerns. He would never have kicked her out while she was pregnant. He would never have paraded his mistress through their home like she was already the new wife. The taxi honked outside. "That's my ride," Kate said. She walked toward the door, Thomas carrying her suitcases. At the threshold, she turned back to look at Rick one more time. "When the baby's born," she said quietly, Don't expect me to call you. You'll call, Rick said confidently. You'll need me. Kate shook her head. No, Rick, I really won't. As the taxi pulled away from the house she'd thought of as home, Kate saw Amber in the living room window, already rearranging the furniture. Jennifer Walsh answered her apartment door in pajamas, took one look at Kate's tear-stained face and the taxi driver holding suitcases, and immediately stepped aside. Get in here, Jen said. What happened? Kate collapsed onto Jen's couch and told her everything. Jen, a 34-year-old graphic designer who'd been Kate's best friend since college, listened with growing fury. He said, what about your maternity clothes? Jen demanded. That they were hideous, Kate replied, unconsciously smoothing her flowing blue dress. He said I'd become boring and demanding. You're 7 months pregnant, Kate. You're supposed to be focused on the baby. That's literally how pregnancy works. Jen paced around her small living room. And who is this Amber person? How long has Rick been working with a personal trainer? About 6 months, Kate said. He said he wanted to get in shape before the baby was born. You know, be a good example as a father. 6 months, Jen repeated. So he started seeing her right after you announced the pregnancy. The timeline sent a chill through Kate. She'd been so happy about Rick's new fitness routine, proud that he was taking care of himself. She'd never suspected anything inappropriate. I need to see her social media, Kate said. Jen brought her laptop over and they searched for Amber Sinclair. Her Instagram account was public, filled with professional quality photos of her perfect body in various workout poses. She had 50,000 followers and was clearly building a brand around fitness and lifestyle coaching. Look at this, Jen said, pointing to a post from 3 weeks ago. She's at some corporate event, and that's definitely Rick in the background. Kate studied the photo. Rick was wearing his navy suit, the one she'd helped him pick out for client meetings. Amber was wearing a tight black dress that probably cost more than Kate's monthly grocery budget. She's been to his work events, Kate said slowly. Keep scrolling, Jen urged. They found more photos that told a disturbing story. Amber at restaurants Kate recognized as Rick's favorites. Amber at the gym where Rick worked out. Amber in workout clothes that Kate now realized she'd seen hanging in Rick's car. Oh my God, Kate breathed, stopping at a photo posted just 2 hours ago. It was Amber in Kate's kitchen, wearing Kate's silk robe, holding a mug of coffee. The caption read, New beginnings in a beautiful space. Sometimes life takes you exactly where you need to be. Hashtag blessed, hashtag new chapter, hashtag upgrade complete. Upgrade complete? Jen read aloud. She's calling herself an upgrade from you? Kate felt the baby kick hard, responding to her spike in blood pressure. She pressed her hand to her belly, trying to calm herself for the sake of her child. There's more, Jen said grimly, continuing to scroll. Look at this post from last week. The photo showed Amber in workout gear, posing in what was clearly a gym. The caption was a long paragraph about helping successful men reach their full potential and being the support system that allows greatness to flourish. She's not just a personal trainer, Kate realized. She's positioning herself as some kind of life coach for wealthy men. It's a racket, Jen said. Rich guy gets middle-aged, feels insecure about getting older, hires a hot young trainer who makes him feel virile and successful. Tale as old as time. Kate kept reading Amber's posts, each one making her feel sicker. There were motivational quotes about leaving behind people who don't support your growth and surrounding yourself with positive energy. There were photos of expensive, healthy meals with captions about fueling success. She's been planning this, Kate said. Look at the progression. 6 months ago, her posts were just workout videos. But over the past few months, she's been posting more and more about lifestyle and mindset and relationships. She's been grooming him, Jen agreed, making him think his life would be better without you. Kate found a post from 2 months ago that made her stomach drop. It was a photo of Amber and an older man at what looked like an expensive restaurant. The man's face was partially obscured, but Kate could see enough to know it wasn't Rick. She's done this before, Kate whispered. The caption talked about celebrating success with someone who appreciates the finer things in life and grateful for mentors who see my value. How many married men has she done this to? Jen wondered aloud. Kate's phone buzzed with a text message. It was from Rick. Please be reasonable about this. We can work out custody arrangements that are fair to everyone. Custody arrangements? Kate read the message aloud. He's already thinking about custody arrangements? He's been planning this for weeks, maybe months, Jen said. Kate, you need to see a lawyer. Like tomorrow. Kate nodded, but she felt overwhelmed by everything she needed to do. Find a place to live. Find a lawyer. Figure out her finances. Prepare for single motherhood. The list seemed endless. I don't even know where to start, Kate admitted. We start with making sure you and the baby are okay, Jen said firmly. When's your next doctor's appointment? Thursday, but I should probably call Dr. Holt and tell her what happened. This level of stress can't be good for the baby. Kate made the call, and Dr. Patricia Holt's nurse managed to squeeze her in for an appointment the next morning. Good, Jen said when Kate hung up. Now let's order some food and figure out your next steps. They ordered Chinese takeout, and while they waited for delivery, Kate continued scrolling through Amber's social media. She found photos that showed Amber was clearly comfortable in expensive settings. Designer workout clothes, high-end restaurants, luxury spa treatments. She's expensive, Kate observed. Of course she is, Jen replied. Rick's probably spending a fortune on her. Personal training sessions, fancy dinners, shopping trips. I bet she's costing him more per month than your entire household budget used to be. Kate thought about their joint bank accounts. Rick had always handled the finances, claiming he was better with money. Kate had trusted him completely, never questioning his decisions about their investments or savings. I don't even know how much money we have, Kate realized with growing panic. Rick manages everything. I don't even know the passwords to our accounts. Okay, that's definitely something to discuss with the lawyer, Jen said. But for tonight, let's just focus on keeping you and the baby healthy. The food arrived and Kate tried to eat, but her appetite was non-existent. Every bite felt like cardboard. The baby was moving constantly now, and Kate wondered if the stress was affecting her child's sleep patterns. I keep thinking about her wearing my robe, Kate said suddenly. What? In that photo. She was wearing my silk robe, the blue one you gave me for Christmas last year. Rick gave it to her like it was his to give. Jen's expression darkened. That's not just cruel, Kate. That's calculated. She wanted you to see that photo. She wanted you to know she's taken your place in every way. Kate felt tears starting again, but this time they were tears of anger rather than hurt. Amber Sinclair might have stolen her husband, but she wasn't going to steal Kate's dignity too. I'm going to fight this, Kate said quietly. Good, Jen replied, because that woman has no idea who she's messing with. As if on cue, Kate's phone buzzed again. This time it was a notification that Rick had posted something on social media. Against her better judgment, Kate opened the app. The photo showed Rick and Amber in Rick's home gym, both of them smiling and sweaty from a workout. The caption read, "Sometimes the best thing you can do is surround yourself with people who bring out your best." Grateful for positive energy and new perspectives. He's already posting photos with her, Kate said, showing Jen the screen. 24 hours after kicking you out, Jen noted. He's not even pretending this is sudden. Kate felt the baby kick again, and this time she spoke directly to her unborn daughter. Don't worry, sweetheart, she whispered, rubbing her belly. Mommy's going to figure this out. We're going to be just fine. But as she lay in Jen's spare bedroom that night, listening to the sounds of the city outside and feeling her daughter moving restlessly inside her, Kate wondered if she was making a promise she couldn't keep. Dr. Patricia Holt's examination room felt like a sanctuary after the chaos of the past 24 hours. The 52-year-old obstetrician had delivered hundreds of babies over her career, and her calm, professional demeanor immediately put Kate at ease. Your blood pressure is elevated, Dr. Holt said, removing the cuff from Kate's arm. Not dangerously so, but higher than I'd like to see at 30 weeks. Tell me what's been happening. Imrawad. Kate explained everything, trying to keep her voice steady. Dr. Holt listened without judgment, occasionally making notes in Kate's chart. Stress during pregnancy is unfortunately common, Dr. Holt said when Kate finished. But the level of stress you're describing can potentially trigger preterm labor. We need to monitor you closely over the next few weeks. Is the baby okay? Kate asked, her hand automatically moving to her belly. Baby sounds strong and healthy, Dr. Holt assured her, listening with her stethoscope. Good heartbeat, active movement. but I want you to pay attention to any changes. Unusual cramping, sudden increase or decrease in movement, any spotting or bleeding. If you experience any of those symptoms, you call me immediately." Kate nodded, already feeling overwhelmed by one more thing to worry about. "I'm also going to refer you to a therapist who specializes in pregnancy and family transitions," Dr. Holt continued. "This isn't about your mental health being inadequate. This is about giving you tools to manage an objectively difficult situation." After the appointment, Kate met with Margaret Coleman, the divorce attorney Jen had recommended. Maggie was a 45-year-old woman with steel gray hair and a reputation for aggressive representation of women in high-asset divorces. "Tell me about your financial situation," Maggie said, taking notes as Kate spoke. "I honestly don't know," Kate admitted. "Rick handles all our investments and savings. I know he makes good money from the consulting firm, but I don't know specific numbers." "We'll need to get access to those records," Maggie said. "In the meantime, I want you to start documenting everything. Every expense, every conversation with your husband, every interaction with this other woman. Keep records of your medical appointments and any pregnancy-related costs." "Here?" "He texted me about custody arrangements," Kate said, showing Maggie her phone. Maggie read the message and frowned. "He's already thinking about limiting his financial responsibility. That's not a good sign. We need to move quickly to protect your interests and the baby's interests." "What does that mean?" "It means we file for temporary spousal support and child support immediately. We also request exclusive use of the marital home. You shouldn't be the one displaced while you're pregnant." Kate felt a spark of hope for the first time in days. "Can we really do that?" "We can try," Maggie said, "but I want to warn you that your husband sounds like he's been planning this for a while. Men don't usually kick out their pregnant wives without having consulted a lawyer first." That afternoon, Kate returned to Jen's apartment to find several missed calls from Thomas Mitchell. She called him back immediately. "Kate, I'm so sorry about yesterday," Thomas said. "I had no idea Rick was planning any of this." "What's happening at the office?" Kate asked. "That's what I wanted to talk to you about." "Rick brought Amber to the client meeting this morning. He introduced her as his lifestyle consultant and said she'd be helping him optimize his work-life balance." Kate felt sick. "He brought her to a client meeting?" "It gets worse," Thomas said. "She seemed to know an awful lot about our business model and our client relationships. More than a personal trainer should know." "What do you mean?" "She was asking specific questions about our profit margins and our plans for expansion. She knew which clients were our biggest revenue sources." "Kate, either Rick's been sharing confidential business information with her, or she's been doing research on our company." Kate sank onto Jen's couch, processing this information. "How long do you think this has been going on?" "Honestly, I think Rick's been planning this for months, maybe since you announced the pregnancy. I've been going over our financial records, and there are some irregularities I want to discuss with you." "What kind of irregularities?" "Money being moved from our business accounts into personal accounts. Large cash withdrawals. Payments to companies I don't recognize. Kate, I think Rick's been hiding assets." The conversation left Kate feeling even more betrayed. Not only had Rick been having an affair, but he'd been systematically preparing to leave her financially vulnerable. That evening, Kate forced herself to look at more of Amber's social media posts. What she found made her stomach turn. Amber had posted a photo of herself in Kate's living room, rearranging the furniture. The caption read, "Creating positive energy in a beautiful space. Sometimes you have to clear out old energy to make room for new possibilities. Excited for this new chapter." "Old energy," Kate read aloud to Jen. "She's calling me old energy." "She's 26 years old," Jen replied. "When she's your age, she'll understand that 26 isn't the pinnacle of human existence." But it wasn't just the age difference that bothered Kate. It was the calculated way Amber was erasing her presence from the house. In the background of the photo, Kate could see that her framed pictures had been removed from the mantelpiece. Kate kept scrolling and found more disturbing content. Photos of Amber cooking in Kate's kitchen, using Kate's dishes. Amber in the master bedroom, which Kate could tell from the distinctive wallpaper visible in the background. The most painful post showed Amber in what had been Kate's home office, the room where Kate had worked during the early months of her pregnancy. Amber was posed at Kate's desk, using Kate's computer, with the caption, "New workspace for new goals. Grateful for beautiful surroundings that inspire productivity." She's completely taken over your life, Jen observed. Look at this, Kate said, pointing to another post. She's wearing my jewelry. In the photo, Amber was wearing a delicate gold necklace that Rick had given Kate for their second wedding anniversary. Kate felt violated in a way that went beyond the affair. This woman wasn't just sleeping with her husband. She was literally wearing Kate's life. Kate's phone rang, and she saw Rick's name on the screen. Against her better judgment, she answered. We need to talk about practical matters, Rick said without preamble. Like what? Like your doctor's appointments. I assume you'll want me there for the birth. Kate was speechless for a moment. You assume I'll want you there? I'm the baby's father, Catherine. I have rights. You gave up your rights when you kicked me out, Kate said. Don't be dramatic. This doesn't have to affect my relationship with the baby. Rick, you chose your personal trainer over your pregnant wife. You moved her into our bed before I was even out of the house. What part of that says, good father to you? Amber has nothing to do with my relationship with our child, Rick said. Amber has everything to do with it. She's the reason our child is going to grow up in a broken home. Our home was already broken, Catherine. You just didn't want to admit it. The casual cruelty of the statement took Kate's breath away. When did you become this person, Rick? I became the person I was always meant to be. Amber helped me see that I was settling for less than I deserved. And what did you deserve that I wasn't giving you? Ambition, drive. Someone who actually cares about success instead of just wanting to play house and have babies. Kate felt the baby kick hard, as if responding to her emotional distress. I have to go, she said. We're not finished discussing this, Rick said. Yes, we are. Kate hung up and immediately burst into tears. Jen wrapped her arms around her friend, holding her while she sobbed. He's not the same person, Kate cried. It's like Amber brainwashed him. Maybe she did, Jen said quietly. Some people are experts at psychological manipulation. They find successful, confident people and convince them that their lives are inadequate. But how could he fall for it? Because she told him what he wanted to hear, Jen explained, that he was special, that he deserved better, that his pregnant wife was holding him back from his true potential. Men eat that stuff up. Kate wiped her eyes and looked at her phone again. She had a new text message from an unknown number. She's not who she claims to be. Look deeper. Jen, Kate said, showing her the message. What do you think this means? Jen studied the text. I think someone knows something about Amber that Rick doesn't. The question is, do you want to find out what it is? Kate thought about the photos of Amber in her house, wearing her clothes, using her things. She thought about Rick's cold dismissal of their marriage and his cruel comments about her pregnancy. Yes, Kate said firmly. I want to know everything about Amber Sinclair. Samuel Brennan's private investigation office was located in a nondescript building downtown, sandwiched between a coffee shop and a tax preparation service. The 35-year-old former police detective had come highly recommended by Maggie Coleman, who'd used his services in several high-profile divorce cases. Tell me what you want to know, Sam said, settling behind his desk with a legal pad and pen. Kate explained the situation, trying to keep the emotion out of her voice and stick to facts. Sam took notes without judgment, occasionally asking clarifying questions. You said she's been his personal trainer for 6 months? Sam asked. That's what Rick told me. But looking at her social media, it seems like their relationship became more personal pretty quickly. Personal trainers who target wealthy clients often blur those lines intentionally, Sam explained. It's part of the business model. They position themselves as lifestyle coaches, not just fitness instructors. The anonymous text said she's not who she claims to be, Kate said, showing Sam the message. What could that mean? Could be a lot of things. False credentials, fake references, criminal history, fake identity. I've seen it all. Sam leaned back in his chair. The fitness industry is surprisingly unregulated. Anyone can call themselves a personal trainer or life coach. How long will it take to find out? Give me a week for the basics. If there's something to find, I'll find it. Kate left Sam's office feeling like she'd finally taken action instead of just reacting to Rick's decisions. The anonymous text had given her hope that she wasn't powerless in this situation. Later that day, Thomas called with more disturbing news. I found where some of that missing money went, he said. Rick's been paying for a luxury apartment downtown. The lease started 4 months ago. 4 months? Kate felt sick. He's been planning this since I was 5 months pregnant. It gets worse. The apartment's not in his name. It's in Amber's name, but Rick's bank account shows monthly payments to the property management company. Kate sat down heavily in Jen's kitchen chair. He's been setting up a life with her while lying to my face about wanting to be a family. Kate, I think you should know that Rick's been telling people at work that you two have been having problems for a long time. He's been setting the narrative that the separation was mutual and inevitable. That's not true, Kate said firmly. We had normal married couple disagreements, but nothing serious. Nothing that suggested our marriage was in trouble. I know that, and you know that, but Rick's been very convincing. He's good at managing perceptions. After Thomas hung up, Kate realized how isolated she'd become during her pregnancy. She'd been so focused on preparing for the baby that she'd lost touch with many of her friends and colleagues. Rick had encouraged this isolation, suggesting that she needed to rest and avoid stress. Now she understood it had been part of his plan. If she had no independent social network, she'd have fewer allies when he decided to leave. That evening, Kate forced herself to look at more of Amber's social media history. She went back months, studying the progression of posts and looking for patterns. What she found was disturbing. 6 months ago, Amber's posts had been standard fitness content. Workout videos, healthy recipes, motivational quotes about physical health. But starting around 4 months ago, the content had shifted. The posts became more focused on mindset and lifestyle. Upgrading your environment to upgrade your life. Surrounding yourself with people who match your energy. Sometimes you have to leave good behind to find great. She was conditioning him, Kate realized, calling Jen over to look at the screen. What do you mean? Look at the timing. She started posting this psychological manipulation content right around the time Rick started paying for her apartment. She was slowly convincing him that his current life was inadequate. Kate found a post from 3 months ago that made her stomach turn. It was a photo of an expensive dinner with the caption, "Grateful for people who see my value and aren't afraid to invest in excellence. Some people are worth the investment." She's been documenting their affair, Kate said. Look at this. The post told a clear story. Expensive dinners, luxury spa treatments, shopping trips to high-end boutiques. All of it funded by Rick while Kate sat at home, pregnant and trusting. Kate's phone buzzed with another text from the unknown number. Check her employment history. The gym where she claims to work has no record of her. Kate immediately forwarded the message to Sam Brennan. The next morning, Sam called with preliminary findings. Your anonymous tipster is right, Sam said. I contacted the gym where Amber claims to be employed. They've never heard of her. So where does she actually work? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Her social media shows her training clients, but I can't verify any legitimate business registration or certification. She might be operating completely under the table. Is that illegal? Depends on what services she's providing and whether she's claiming credentials she doesn't have, but it suggests she's not who she's presenting herself to be. Kate felt a mixture of validation and dread. If Amber was lying about her professional credentials, what else was she lying about? There's more, Sam continued. I did some digging into her rental history. The apartment your husband is paying for isn't her first luxury rental. She's lived in upscale apartments in 3 different cities over the past 5 years, always with leases paid by someone else. Someone else? Different men each time. All of them successful, all of them older than her, all of them married. Kate felt the pieces clicking into place. She's done this before. It looks that way. I'm still gathering information, but the pattern is clear. She targets married men, convinces them to leave their wives, gets them to pay for expensive lifestyle upgrades, and then moves on to the next target. But she hasn't moved on from Rick. She's living in our house. That's what makes this situation different, Sam said grimly. Usually these women disappear once they've gotten what they want. But Amber seems to be planning to stay. The question is why? Kate thought about Rick's successful business, their substantial assets, their beautiful home. Because Rick has more to offer than her previous targets. That would be my guess. I should have more information in a few days. In the meantime, be careful. If Amber realizes you're investigating her, she might escalate her timeline. What do you mean? I mean she might convince your husband to do something drastic, like transferring assets or making financial decisions that would be harder to reverse. Kate felt a chill of fear. If Rick was completely under Amber's influence, there was no telling what decisions he might make. That afternoon, Kate decided to drive by her former home. She told herself she just wanted to see if her car was still in the garage. But really, she needed to see what her life looked like from the outside. What she saw broke her heart. Amber was in the front yard, directing a landscaping crew as they removed Kate's flower garden. The roses Kate had planted for their anniversary, the herbs she'd been growing for the baby's future meals, the carefully tended perennials that bloomed in sequence throughout the season, all of it was being ripped out. In their place, the landscapers were installing modern, geometric plantings that looked expensive and cold. Kate sat in her rental car, 7 months pregnant and homeless, watching a stranger destroy the garden she'd lovingly created. The symbolism was devastating. Amber wasn't just taking Kate's place. She was erasing every trace that Kate had ever existed. As Kate watched, Rick came outside and put his arm around Amber's waist. They stood together surveying the destruction of Kate's garden, both of them smiling like they were viewing their greatest accomplishment. Kate drove away before they could see her, but the image was burned into her memory. The man she'd married, the father of her unborn child, celebrating the erasure of their life together. That night, Kate made a decision. Whatever Sam discovered about Amber's past, she was going to use it. She was going to fight for her life, her child's future, and her own dignity. She wasn't going to let Amber Sinclair destroy her without a fight. Sam Brennan's voice was grim when he called Kate 3 days later. "You need to sit down for this," he said. Kate was already sitting at Jen's kitchen table, but she gripped the edge instinctively. "What did you find?" Amber Sinclair isn't her real name. Her legal name is Ashley Marie Santelli, and she has an extensive criminal record spanning 3 states. Kate felt her heart racing. What kind of criminal record? Credit card fraud, identity theft, grand larceny, and running romance scams. She's been arrested 6 times in the past 8 years, convicted 4 times, served 2 short jail sentences, and violated probation twice. Kate pressed her hand to her belly, feeling the baby kick in response to her spike in adrenaline. Romance scams? Her specialty is targeting wealthy married men. She researches them extensively, finds ways to meet them through legitimate channels, and then slowly isolates them from their families while gaining access to their finances. Sam continued reading from his notes. In Dallas, she convinced a real estate developer to leave his wife and transfer $500,000 to her before disappearing. In Phoenix, she got a restaurant owner to put her on his business accounts and then embezzled $200,000. In Miami, she convinced a retired surgeon to divorce his wife and marry her, then cleaned out his retirement accounts and vanished. Kate felt sick. How many men has she done this to? Those are just the ones who press charges. There are probably others who were too embarrassed to report it, or who didn't realize they'd been scammed until it was too late. And she's never been stopped? She's good at what she does. She changes her name, moves to a new city, creates a new identity. Sometimes she goes by Ashley, sometimes Amber, sometimes Amanda. She's used the last names Wilson, Thompson, Rodriguez, and now Sinclair. Kate thought about all the red flags she'd missed. Amber's perfect knowledge of Rick's business, her expensive tastes, her immediate comfort in luxury settings. Sam, how much danger is Rick in? Financially, extreme danger. This woman is a professional con artist. She's not just having an affair with your husband, she's systematically planning to rob him blind. Kate felt a complex mix of emotions. She was furious at Rick for his betrayal, but she was also terrified for him. Despite everything he'd done, she didn't want to see him destroyed by a criminal. What's her endgame? Kate asked. Based on her patterns, she'll convince him to transfer assets into her name or joint accounts she controls. She'll get him to take out loans or lines of credit with her as a beneficiary. Then she'll disappear, leaving him financially ruined and legally responsible for debts she created. But she's living in our house. She's not hiding. That's what makes this case different, Sam said. Usually she operates from a distance, maintaining her own residence while slowly gaining financial access. But living in your husband's house suggests she's planning something bigger. Kate's blood ran cold. Like what? Marriage. If she can convince him to divorce you and marry her, she'll have legal access to everything. Community property rights, inheritance rights, business ownership rights. She wouldn't need to steal from him anymore. She'd legally own half of everything he has. Kate felt the baby kick hard, and she realized her stress was affecting her child again. She took deep breaths, trying to calm herself. "I have to warn him," Kate said. "Kate, you need to understand that your husband may not believe you. These women are experts at psychological manipulation. She's probably already convinced him that you're jealous, vindictive, and capable of fabricating evidence. But this is documented criminal history. These are court records, which she'll claim are fake, or she'll say it was all misunderstandings, or she'll convince him that she's changed and you're trying to destroy her redemption story. By the time the victim realizes they've been conned, they're usually in too deep to admit it." Kate thought about Rick's reaction when she'd tried to tell him about her pregnancy symptoms, how he dismissed her concerns as dramatic. If he wouldn't believe her about medical issues, would he believe her about criminal records? "There's more," Sam continued. "I found evidence that she's been researching your husband's business for months. She's accessed public records about his company's financial filings, looked up his client lists, and even researched his business partner. She's been planning this since the beginning." "Yes, this wasn't a spontaneous affair, Kate. This was a targeted operation." After hanging up with Sam, Kate immediately called Thomas. "I need to see you," she said. "It's about Amber." They met at a coffee shop downtown, where Kate spread out printed copies of Sam's findings. Thomas read through the documents with growing alarm. "Jesus, Kate, she's a career criminal. And she's living in Rick's house, sleeping in his bed, and making plans for his future." Thomas studied the photos Sam had included, Ashley Santelli's mugshots from various arrests, looking different in each one, but unmistakably the same person as Amber Sinclair. "We have to tell him," Thomas said. "Will he believe us?" Thomas was quiet for a long moment. "I don't know. She's got him pretty thoroughly convinced that his life is better without you. But this is hard evidence. Sam thinks she's planning to marry him." "Over my dead body," Thomas said firmly. "Rick's my business partner and my friend. I'm not going to let some con artist destroy his life." They agreed that Thomas would approach Rick first, since Rick was less likely to be defensive with him. Kate would stay in the background initially, letting Thomas present the evidence as his own discovery. That evening, Thomas called Rick and asked to meet for drinks. Rick suggested bringing Amber, but Thomas insisted it be just the two of them. Kate waited anxiously at Jen's apartment for Thomas's call. When her phone finally rang at 9:30, Thomas's voice was heavy with defeat. "He didn't believe me," Thomas said. "What happened?" "I showed him everything. The criminal records, the pattern of targeting married men, the evidence of her researching his business. He accused me of working with you to fabricate evidence because we're both jealous of his happiness." Kate felt her heart sink. "He thinks we made it up? He thinks you hired someone to create fake criminal records because you're vindictive and desperate. He said Amber warned him that you might try something like this." "She warned him?" "Apparently she told him that ex-wives often try to destroy their former husband's new relationships by making false accusations. She said she'd seen it happen to other clients." Kate realized how perfectly Amber had played this. By preemptively warning Rick about potential false accusations, she'd made it impossible for him to believe the truth when it was presented to him. "There's more," Thomas continued. "Rick asked me to choose between supporting his new relationship or maintaining our business partnership." "He gave you an ultimatum?" "He said that if I can't accept Amber as part of his life, then maybe we need to reconsider our professional relationship." Kate was speechless. Rick was willing to destroy a 15-year friendship and business partnership to protect a woman he'd known for 6 months. "Thomas, I'm so sorry. I never wanted this to affect your business." "It's not your fault, Kate. Rick's being manipulated by a professional. But I'm worried about what she's going to convince him to do next." As if in answer to their concerns, Kate's phone buzzed with a text from Rick. "Since you're spreading lies about Amber, all future communication about the baby will go through lawyers. You've shown that you can't be trusted to act reasonably." Kate stared at the message in disbelief. By trying to protect Rick from a criminal, she'd lost the last vestige of their relationship. "She's isolating him," Kate said, showing the text to Jen. "Classic abuser technique," Jen agreed. Convince the victim that everyone who cares about them is actually the enemy. Kate felt the baby kick, and she placed both hands on her belly. "I'm sorry, sweetheart," she whispered. "Daddy's making some very bad choices right now." That night, Kate lay awake thinking about the woman sleeping in her bed, wearing her clothes, and planning to steal her husband's entire life. Ashley Santelli was a predator who'd found the perfect victim in Rick, successful enough to be worth targeting, arrogant enough to believe he was too smart to be fooled, and insecure enough to be flattered by a beautiful young woman's attention. And now she was carrying the child of a man who was about to be destroyed by a criminal he refused to see coming. Kate's stress levels had reached a breaking point. At her 32-week appointment, Dr. Holt took one look at Kate's blood pressure readings and ordered immediate bed rest. "This is not a suggestion," Dr. Holt said firmly. "Your blood pressure is approaching dangerous levels, and stress-induced preterm labor is a real risk. You need to minimize all sources of stress for the next few weeks." "But I need to," Kate began. "You need to protect your baby," Dr. Holt interrupted. "Whatever's happening in your personal life, it's literally threatening your pregnancy. Nothing is more important than keeping this baby safe." Kate returned to Jen's apartment feeling defeated. How could she minimize stress when her husband was being systematically robbed by a career criminal who'd convinced him that Kate was the enemy? That afternoon, Thomas called with urgent news. "Rick's planning to sell his share of the business," Thomas said. "What? Why?" "He says he wants to pursue new opportunities with Amber. She's convinced him that our consulting firm is small-time and limiting his potential." Kate felt dizzy. "Thomas, the business is his biggest asset. If he sells his share, he'll have liquid cash that Amber can access." "I know, I tried to talk him out of it, but he's already contacted a business broker. He wants to move fast." "How fast?" "He's hoping to close the sale within 30 days. Kate's mind raced. In 30 days, Rick would have millions of dollars in cash. Based on Amber's pattern, that's when she'd make her move to disappear with the money. "We have to stop this," Kate said. "I don't know how. I'm his business partner, not his guardian. I can't legally prevent him from selling his share." Kate thought about her conversation with Sam Brennan. There had to be something they could do with the criminal evidence. Some way to force Rick to see the truth. "What if we contacted the police?" Kate asked. "And told them what? That Rick's girlfriend might be planning to steal from him? She hasn't actually committed a crime yet. But she's committed crimes in other states. She's operating under false identity. That's a federal matter, and it would take months to investigate. By then, she'll have whatever she wants from Rick." Kate felt trapped. Every legal avenue seemed to lead to dead ends, while Amber moved closer to her goal every day. That evening, against Dr. Holt's orders about avoiding stress, Kate decided to make one last attempt to reach Rick directly. She called his cell phone, hoping to bypass Amber's influence for a few minutes. Rick answered on the fourth ring, his voice cold and businesslike. "I thought I made it clear that all communication should go through lawyer," he said. "Rick, please listen to me for 2 minutes. It's about Amber. I'm not going to listen to more lies about someone I care about. They're not lies. Her real name is Ashley Santelli. She's a convicted criminal who's done this to other men. She's going to steal everything you have and disappear. Kate, this is pathetic, even for you." The casual cruelty in his voice shocked her. This was the man who'd once promised to love and protect her forever. "I have documentation," Kate pressed on. "Criminal records, court documents, evidence of her previous scams. Just look at the evidence before you make any major financial decisions. The only evidence I need is that you're so threatened by Amber that you're willing to hire people to create fake documents. It's sad, honestly. Rick, I'm trying to save you from making a terrible mistake. The terrible mistake was marrying someone who could sink this low. Thank God I realized my error before it was too late." Kate felt the baby kick hard, responding to her emotional distress. "What about our daughter? Don't you want to protect her future?" "I'll protect my daughter by keeping her away from someone who would spread malicious lies about innocent people. Amber's been nothing but supportive and positive since she came into my life. Because she's manipulating you." "No, Kate. She's helped me see that I deserve better than a bitter, jealous woman who tries to destroy anyone who threatens her control." Kate realized that Amber had anticipated this conversation and prepared Rick for it perfectly. Every argument Kate made had been preemptively discredited. Rick, please, just postpone any major decisions for a few weeks. Let someone independent investigate Amber's background. I'm not postponing my life because my ex-wife is having a breakdown. I'm not your ex-wife. We're still married. Not for long. My lawyer's drawing up divorce papers. You'll be served next week. The line went dead, leaving Kate staring at her phone in shock. Rick was filing for divorce. He was selling his business. He was eliminating every barrier between Amber and his money. Kate called Sam Brennan immediately. We're running out of time, she told him. Rick's filing for divorce and selling his business. Amber's going to have access to millions of dollars within weeks. I was afraid this might happen, Sam said. These women are experts at creating urgency. They convince their targets that quick action is necessary to secure their happiness. Is there anything we can do legally? I've been researching that. There might be a way to get law enforcement involved if we can prove she's engaged in identity fraud or wire fraud, but it would require Rick's cooperation, and from what you've told me, that's not happening. Kate felt desperate. What if we contacted her previous victims? Maybe if Rick heard from other men, she's scammed. I actually found contact information for 2 of her previous targets. I can reach out to them, but Kate, you need to prepare yourself for the possibility that Rick won't listen no matter what evidence we present. Then what happens? Then Amber takes whatever she wants, and Rick learns the truth the hard way. That night, Kate couldn't sleep. The baby was moving constantly, and Kate wondered if her stress was affecting her daughter's sleep patterns. She kept thinking about Rick's cold voice, his casual dismissal of their marriage, his willingness to believe the worst about her. At 3 in the morning, Kate felt a sharp pain in her lower abdomen. It was different from the baby's movements, more like a contraction. She lay still, timing the sensation, and felt another one 12 minutes later. Jen? Kate called softly, not wanting to alarm her friend if it was nothing. Jen appeared in the doorway immediately, as if she'd been lying awake too. What's wrong? I think I might be having contractions. Jen was instantly alert. How far apart? I've only felt 2, about 12 minutes apart. Let's time them for an hour. If they get more frequent or stronger, we're going to the hospital. Over the next hour, Kate felt 4 more contractions, each one slightly stronger than the last. By 4:30 in the morning, they were coming every 8 minutes. We're going to the hospital, Jen said firmly. At the emergency room, Dr. Holt met them with a team of nurses. After examination and monitoring, she confirmed Kate's fears. You're in early labor, Dr. Holt said. We're going to try to stop it with medication, but at 32 weeks, this is serious. If we can't stop the contractions, we may need to deliver the baby. Kate felt terror unlike anything she'd ever experienced. Her daughter wasn't ready to be born. She needed at least 6 more weeks to develop properly. Is this because of the stress? Kate asked. Stress is definitely a contributing factor, Dr. Holt confirmed. Your body can't handle the emotional and physical pressure you've been under. As the nurses prepared IV medications to stop Kate's labor, she realized that Rick's betrayal wasn't just destroying her life. It was threatening their daughter's life too. She tried calling Rick to tell him what was happening, but the call went straight to voicemail. Either his phone was off, or he was ignoring her calls. Please, baby girl, Kate whispered, her hands on her belly. Stay safe inside for a little longer. Mommy's going to figure this out. But as the medication dripped into her veins and the contractions slowly subsided, Kate wondered if she was making a promise she couldn't keep. Rick was about to lose everything to a criminal he refused to see coming, and their daughter was paying the price for his stubborn blindness. The medication worked. After 8 hours of monitoring, Kate's contractions stopped, and Dr. Holt allowed her to go home with strict orders for complete bed rest. No stress, no physical exertion, no emotional upheaval, Dr. Holt said firmly. Your body has warned you once. If labor starts again, we may not be able to stop it. Kate returned to Jen's apartment, feeling like her world had narrowed to the size of a hospital bed. She couldn't do anything to stop Rick's financial destruction without risking her daughter's life. That afternoon, Thomas called with devastating news. Rick signed the business sale documents this morning, he said. Kate felt her heart stop. The sale went through? The paperwork's filed. He'll have access to $4.2 million as soon as the transfer clears, probably within 48 hours. Kate pressed her hand to her belly, trying to stay calm for the baby's sake. Where is he now? That's the other thing I need to tell you. He and Amber left for Las Vegas this morning. He said they're taking a long weekend to celebrate the sale. Kate felt a chill of premonition. Thomas, people go to Las Vegas to get married. I thought about that too. Kate, if Rick marries her while he has access to that much cash, she'll legally own half of everything, Kate finished. Kate tried calling Rick again, but his phone went straight to voicemail. She tried texting, but received no response. Amber had successfully isolated him completely. That evening, Sam Brennan called with an update from his investigation. I spoke to two of Ashley's previous victims, Sam said. Both men described exactly the same pattern. She isolated them from family and friends, convinced them to liquidate assets, and then disappeared with the money. But here's the interesting part. Both men said she talked about the big score that would let her retire from scamming. What do you think that means? I think Rick represents her retirement plan. Instead of stealing money and running, she's planning to stay married and live off his wealth permanently. Kate thought about this new wrinkle. So she might not disappear. Not if she can secure permanent legal access to his money through marriage. Why steal millions and live as a fugitive when you can marry millions and live legitimately? The implications were staggering. If Amber succeeded in marrying Rick, she wouldn't just steal his current wealth. She'd have ongoing access to everything he earned in the future. Meanwhile, in Las Vegas, Rick was completely unaware that he was about to marry a career criminal who saw him as a retirement investment. Kate spent a sleepless night imagining worst-case scenarios. Rick married in a Vegas chapel, signing prenuptial agreements that Amber had prepared. Rick transferring assets into joint accounts. Rick giving Amber power of attorney or adding her to his business accounts. The next morning, Jen brought Kate breakfast in bed along with her laptop. You need to see this, Jen said grimly. Amber had posted new photos from Las Vegas. Rick in a tuxedo, looking happier than Kate had seen him in months. Amber in an expensive white dress, posing in front of what looked like a wedding chapel. The caption read, "Sometimes life gives you exactly what you need when you're brave enough to take it. New beginnings in the city of dreams. #blessed. #new chapter. #Mr. and Mrs. Forever." They got married, Kate whispered. Look at the timestamp, Jen said. These photos were posted 2 hours ago. Kate felt the baby kick hard, and for a moment she worried that her shock might trigger contractions again. She breathed deeply, trying to process what had happened. Rick had married Amber, a woman he'd known for 6 months, a career criminal whose real name he didn't even know. And he'd done it while Kate was in the hospital, fighting to keep their daughter safe. I need to call Maggie, Kate said. Her divorce attorney was blunt about the implications. This complicates everything, Maggie said. If he remarried immediately after leaving you, it suggests the new marriage might have been planned before your separation. That could work in our favor for proving fault in the divorce. What about his assets? Anything he earned during your marriage is community property, regardless of who he marries afterward. But if he transfers assets to his new wife or creates joint accounts with her, it becomes much harder to recover that money. Kate felt overwhelmed by the legal complexities. All she knew was that her husband had married a criminal while their daughter was fighting for survival in Kate's womb. That afternoon, Thomas called with more bad news. Rick's back from Vegas, and he's already made some major financial moves, Thomas said. Like what? He's transferred $2 million into a joint account with Amber. He's also added her name to the deed of your house and given her power of attorney for his personal finances. Kate felt dizzy. In less than 48 hours, Rick had given Amber legal access to almost everything he owned. Has he asked about me at all? Kate asked quietly. Thomas was silent for a moment. Kate, I don't think he's thinking clearly. It's like he's under a spell. He hasn't asked about the baby. No, I tried to tell him you were in the hospital, but he said he didn't want to hear about your attention-seeking behavior. Kate hung up the phone and cried harder than she had since this nightmare began. The man she'd married, the father of her child, had just married another woman without asking once about his daughter's health. That evening, Kate felt strong contractions returning. The stress of Rick's marriage, combined with the worry about her financial security, had triggered labor again. "We're going back to the hospital," Jen said, grabbing Kate's bag. This time the contractions were stronger and more frequent. Doctor. Holt worked for hours to stop Kate's labor, but at 33 weeks the baby was determined to be born. "Kate, we may not be able to stop this," Dr. Holt said gently. "Your daughter seems ready to meet the world." Kate felt terror and heartbreak in equal measure. Her baby was going to be born premature, and her father was in Las Vegas celebrating his marriage to a criminal. "Can someone try to call Rick?" Kate asked through her pain. "He should know his daughter is being born." Jen tried calling Rick's number repeatedly, but every call went to voicemail. Finally, she left a message. "Rick, this is Jen. Kate's in labor. Your daughter is being born right now. If you have any decency left, you'll come to the hospital." But as Kate labored through the night, alone except for Jen and the medical staff, Rick never called back. At 4:17 in the morning, Emma Catherine Morrison came into the world weighing 4 pounds and 3 ounces. She was tiny but perfect, with dark hair like Kate's and blue eyes like Rick's. As Kate held her premature daughter for the first time, she made a silent promise. Emma would never know a day when she wasn't loved completely and unconditionally, and she would never be subjected to the kind of betrayal and manipulation that had destroyed her father. "Hello, beautiful girl," Kate whispered to her daughter. "Mommy's here, and I'm never going anywhere." Emma opened her eyes and seemed to look directly at Kate, as if she understood that they were a team now. Just the two of them against the world. Kate's phone buzzed with a text message. For a moment her heart leaped, thinking it might be Rick responding to news of his daughter's birth. Instead, it was from the unknown number that had been warning her about Amber. "Congratulations on your daughter. While you were giving birth, your husband signed documents transferring his business interest to his new wife." "I'm sorry." Kate stared at the message in disbelief. While she was fighting to bring Rick's daughter safely into the world, he was signing away their future to a woman whose real name he didn't even know. But as she looked down at Emma's perfect tiny face, Kate felt a strength she hadn't known she possessed. This little girl deserved better than a father who could be so easily manipulated and so willing to abandon his responsibilities. Kate might not be able to save Rick from his own terrible decisions, but she could save Emma from growing up in the chaos he was creating. "It's going to be okay, sweetheart," Kate whispered to her daughter. "We're going to build something beautiful together." Emma spent 5 days in the neonatal intensive care unit while her lungs finished developing. Kate barely left the hospital, sleeping in the recliner next to her daughter's incubator and learning to navigate the complex world of premature infant care. Rick never came to the hospital. He never called to ask about Emma's health. He never even acknowledged that his daughter had been born. On the day Kate was discharged, Thomas appeared at the hospital with news that changed everything. "Rick's looking for me," Thomas said urgently. "Something's wrong." "What do you mean?" "He called this morning, panicked. He said he needs to see me immediately, that something terrible has happened." Kate felt a mixture of dread and vindication. "The money?" "I think so." He sounded desperate. Thomas went to meet Rick while Kate brought Emma home to Jen's apartment. The baby was healthy but small, requiring frequent feedings and careful monitoring. An hour later, Thomas called with the news Kate had been expecting. "It's gone," Thomas said. "All of it." "What's gone?" "The money from the business sale, the joint accounts, even his personal savings. Amber cleaned him out and disappeared." Kate felt her heart racing. "When?" "Last night. Rick woke up this morning to find every account emptied and Amber nowhere to be found. She left a note saying she needed time to think about their relationship." Kate couldn't help feeling a grim satisfaction. "Did you tell him about her criminal record?" "I tried. He's not ready to hear it yet. He keeps saying there must be some explanation, that maybe she was protecting the money from some kind of threat. Even after she stole everything?" "Kate, you have to understand how completely she manipulated him. He's not thinking rationally. She spent months convincing him that everyone in his life was against him, that only she truly understood and supported him." Kate thought about the psychological manipulation Amber had employed. The isolation, the gaslighting, the gradual erosion of Rick's trust in anyone but her. "How much did she take?" "Everything. The $4.2 million from the business sale, plus another $800,000 from his personal accounts. She also transferred the house into her name and took out a line of credit against it. Kate felt sick. The house too? She convinced him to sign a quitclaim deed, supposedly to protect the property from potential lawsuits. Now she legally owns the house outright. Where is Rick now? At my place. He's completely broken down. I've never seen him like this. Kate looked down at Emma, sleeping peacefully in her arms. Her daughter would never know financial security because her father had been systematically robbed by a professional criminal. There's more, Thomas continued. I did some research this morning. Amber didn't just steal money. She's been copying client information from our business systems. She has detailed financial records for dozens of our clients. Kate felt a new level of alarm. What would she do with that information? Sell it to competitors, use it for identity theft, or hold it for ransom? Our clients include some very wealthy people who value their privacy. This is so much worse than just stealing from Rick. It's a federal crime now, corporate espionage, identity theft on this scale, crossing state lines with stolen assets. She's looking at serious prison time if she's caught. If she's caught? Kate, this woman is a professional. She's been doing this for years and she's good at disappearing. The FBI will investigate, but these cases can take years to resolve. After Thomas hung up, Kate sat holding Emma and trying to process the magnitude of what had happened. Rick had lost everything: his money, his house, his business reputation, and potentially his freedom if clients pressed charges for the security breach. But he'd also lost something much more valuable: his daughter's first days of life, the chance to hold Emma when she was born, the opportunity to be present for the most important moments of his child's existence. That evening, Rick called Kate directly for the first time since Emma's birth. "Kate," he said, and his voice was broken in a way she'd never heard before. "I need to see you." "Where have you been, Rick? Your daughter was born 5 days ago." "I know. I'm sorry. I made some terrible mistakes." Kate felt anger rising in her chest. "Some mistakes? Rick, you married another woman while I was carrying your child. You ignored me when I went into labor. You've never even asked if Emma's okay." "Is she okay?" Rick asked quietly. "She's perfect. She's 4 pounds and beautiful, and she's been asking for her daddy every day." The lie about Emma asking for Rick slipped out before Kate could stop it, but she wasn't sorry. Rick needed to understand what he'd missed. "Can I see her?" Rick asked. Kate looked down at Emma, who was sleeping in her arms with the peaceful expression that only newborns possess. Did this innocent child deserve to meet a father who had abandoned her before she was even born? "Where's your wife, Rick?" "She's gone. She took everything and left." "I know. Thomas told me." "Kate, I was wrong about everything. About Amber. About you. About our marriage. I don't know how I became so blind." "You became blind because you chose to be. I tried to warn you about Amber's criminal record, and you accused me of lying." "Criminal record?" Kate felt a moment of vindication. "Her real name is Ashley Santelli. She's a convicted con artist who's done this to other men. I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen." The silence on the other end of the line stretched for almost a minute. "You knew?" Rick finally asked. "I hired a private investigator. I found court records, arrest records, evidence of her previous scams. I gave it all to Thomas to show you, and you accused us of fabricating evidence." "Oh God," Rick whispered. "What have I done?" Kate felt a complex mix of emotions. Part of her wanted to comfort the man she'd once loved. Part of her wanted to make him suffer for the pain he'd caused. But mostly she felt exhausted by the whole situation. "You destroyed our marriage for a criminal who was planning to rob you from the moment she met you," Kate said quietly. "You chose to believe her lies over my truth. You missed your daughter's birth because you were too busy signing away our future to a stranger. Kate, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Is there any way we can fix this?" Kate looked down at Emma again. Her daughter deserved a father, but did she deserve this father? A man who could be so easily manipulated, so willing to abandon his family, so poor at judging character? "I don't know, Rick. I honestly don't know. Can I at least meet Emma?" Kate made a decision that felt both generous and self-protective. "You can meet her. But Rick, you don't get to be a part-time father. Either you're committed to being the parent she deserves, or you're not in her life at all." I want to be committed. I want to be the father she deserves. Then prove it. Get your life together. Deal with the legal mess you've created. Show me over time that you're capable of putting Emma's needs before your own. How long will that take? However long it takes, Kate said firmly. Emma and I aren't going anywhere, but we're also not waiting around for you to figure out how to be responsible. After hanging up, Kate felt emotionally drained, but also strangely hopeful. For the first time since this nightmare began, Rick seemed to understand the magnitude of what he'd lost. But understanding and changing were two very different things. And Kate was no longer willing to trust promises from a man who'd proven himself capable of such devastating judgment errors. Emma stirred in her arms, opening her blue eyes and looking directly at Kate with the serious expression she'd inherited from her father. "Your daddy wants to meet you, baby girl," Kate whispered, "but he's going to have to earn that privilege." 2 weeks after Emma's birth, Rick appeared at Jen's apartment looking like a man who'd aged 10 years in 10 days. His usually perfect appearance was disheveled, his designer clothes wrinkled, and his eyes had the hollow look of someone who'd lost everything that mattered. "Thank you for agreeing to see me," Rick said quietly. Kate held Emma protectively, studying the man who'd once been her husband. "You have 20 minutes. Emma needs to eat soon." Rick sat on the edge of Jen's couch, his hands clasped tightly together. "First, I need to know about Emma. Is she healthy? Are there any complications from her being born early?" "She's perfect," Kate said. "Small but catching up quickly. No major complications, though we have to watch for developmental delays that sometimes come with premature birth. Can I hold her?" Kate hesitated. Emma was sleeping peacefully, and she looked so tiny and vulnerable. But this was her father, regardless of his failures. "Wash your hands first," Kate said. Rick carefully washed his hands at Jen's kitchen sink, and Kate could see his hands trembling slightly. When he returned, she gently placed Emma in his arms, showing him how to support her head and tiny body. The moment Rick held his daughter, his composure completely crumbled. Tears streamed down his face as he stared at Emma's perfect features, her tiny fingers wrapped around his thumb. "She's so small," he whispered. "She's so beautiful, Kate. I can't believe I missed this. I can't believe I wasn't here when she was born." Kate watched Rick hold their daughter and felt her own emotions threatening to overwhelm her. Despite everything he'd done, this was the moment she'd imagined during her pregnancy. Rick meeting their child for the first time, falling in love with her instantly. "I lost everything," Rick said, still gazing at Emma. "The money, the house, the business reputation. But looking at her now, I realize that's not what I really lost. I lost the chance to be here for the most important moment of my life." "Rick, where have you been for the past 2 weeks?" Kate asked. "Dealing with the legal mess. The FBI is investigating Amber. Ashley, whatever her real name is. They found evidence that she's scammed at least 8 men over the past decade, stealing more than $12 million total. Have they arrested her? She's disappeared completely. The FBI thinks she left the country, probably using forged documents. They're working with international law enforcement, but—" Rick shrugged helplessly. "She's probably somewhere with no extradition treaty, living off the money she stole from me and others." Kate felt a grim satisfaction that justice might eventually catch up with Ashley Santelli, but it wouldn't bring back Rick's money or repair the damage to their family. "What about the business?" "Thomas is trying to hold things together, but several clients have already left because of the security breach. We might lose half our client base, which means the business could fail entirely." Emma stirred in Rick's arms, making the soft sounds that meant she was waking up. Rick looked panicked, clearly having no experience with newborn care. "She's fine," Kate said, taking Emma back. "She's just waking up. It's almost time for her feeding." Kate prepared Emma's bottle while Rick watched every movement with intense focus, as if trying to memorize how to care for his daughter. "I've been seeing a therapist," Rick said suddenly. Kate looked up from warming the bottle. "What?" "A therapist who specializes in psychological manipulation and abuse. I needed to understand how I became so completely blind to what was happening." "And what did you learn?" Rick was quiet for a long moment, watching Kate feed Emma with practiced efficiency. "I learned that I was the perfect target for someone like Ashley. Successful enough to be worth targeting, but insecure enough about aging and relevance to be vulnerable to flattery from a younger woman. Kate continued feeding Emma, saying nothing. The therapist helped me understand that Ashley didn't just seduce me sexually, Rick continued. She systematically destroyed my ability to think critically about our relationship. She isolated me from everyone who might have pointed out red flags, convinced me that you were the problem in our marriage, and created a false narrative about what I deserved in life. You chose to believe her, Kate said quietly. I did, and that's the part I have to own. She was a professional manipulator, but I was a willing participant in my own deception. Rick paused. Kate, I said terrible things to you. I treated you cruelly when you were carrying our child. I dismissed your concerns about Ashley, even when you presented evidence of her criminal history. Kate felt tears stinging her eyes, but she forced herself to stay focused on Emma's feeding. You also married her while I was in labor with your daughter. I know there's no excuse for that. I was so completely under her influence that I thought marrying her quickly was necessary to secure our future together. I actually believed I was making a smart decision. Emma finished her bottle and Kate began the careful process of burping her, patting the baby's tiny back while supporting her neck. What do you want from me, Rick? Kate asked. I want to be Emma's father. I want to be involved in her life, to support both of you financially and emotionally. I know I have no right to ask for forgiveness, but I'm asking for a chance to prove that I can be better. You don't have any money to provide support, Kate pointed out. I'm starting over completely. Thomas offered me a job at what's left of our consulting firm, as an employee, not a partner. The salary will be a fraction of what I used to make, but it's steady income. I've also been in touch with a lawyer about pursuing civil action against Ashley to recover whatever assets can be found. Kate considered this. Rick's willingness to work for Thomas as an employee rather than demanding equal partnership suggested some genuine humility. Where are you living? Thomas is letting me stay in his guest room until I can afford my own place. Kate, I understand that I'm starting from zero. No money, no house, no credibility. But I want to rebuild my life in a way that puts Emma first. Emma had fallen asleep against Kate's shoulder, her tiny body warm and trusting. Kate looked at her daughter's peaceful face and tried to imagine what kind of future would be best for her. Rick, I need you to understand something, Kate said carefully. Emma and I are doing fine on our own. We don't need you to rescue us or provide for us. If you want to be part of our lives, it has to be because you genuinely want to be a father, not because you feel guilty or obligated. I do want to be her father. Holding her just now, looking at her perfect little face. Kate, she's the most important thing I've ever been part of creating. Kate felt a complex mix of hope and wariness. Rick sounded sincere, but he'd sounded sincere when he'd promised to love and cherish her in their wedding vows too. I'm not ready to make any decisions about our future, Kate said. You've broken my trust completely, and trust takes time to rebuild. But I'm willing to let you be part of Emma's life if you can prove you're serious about being a good father. What would that look like? It means showing up consistently. It means putting Emma's needs before your own convenience. It means making decisions based on what's best for her, not what's easiest for you. Rick nodded earnestly. I can do that. I want to do that. We'll start small, Kate decided. You can visit Emma twice a week for an hour at a time. If you're consistent with that for a month, we can talk about longer visits. Thank you, Rick said, his voice thick with emotion. Kate, I know I don't deserve this chance. You're right, you don't. But Emma deserves a father who's present and committed. If you can be that person, then we'll figure out how to make this work. As Rick prepared to leave, he turned back to look at Emma one more time. She has your nose, he said softly. And your stubborn streak, Kate replied, allowing herself a small smile. After Rick left, Kate sat holding Emma and thinking about the conversation. Rick seemed genuinely remorseful and committed to change. But Kate had learned the hard way that words were easy to say. The real test would be whether Rick could follow through on his promises when being a father became inconvenient, exhausting, or emotionally challenging. Emma opened her eyes and looked directly at Kate, as if sensing her mother's contemplation. What do you think, baby girl? Kate whispered. Should we give Daddy a chance to prove himself? Emma made a soft sound that Kate chose to interpret as cautious optimism. Okay, Kate said, but he's going to have to earn it one day at a time. 6 months later, Kate sat in Dr. Sarah Chen's office for what had become a weekly ritual. Marriage counseling with Rick had been Kate's non-negotiable condition for any possibility of reconciliation, and Dr. Chen had guided them through the most difficult conversations of their lives. "Let's talk about trust," Dr. Chen said, her calm voice filling the comfortable office. "Kate, how are you feeling about the progress Rick has made?" Kate looked at Rick, who sat across from her, looking nothing like the arrogant CEO who had kicked her out while pregnant. His expensive suits had been replaced by modest business attire, his designer watch was gone, and there was a humility in his posture that hadn't existed before. "He's been consistent," Kate admitted. 6 months of twice-weekly visits with Emma, never missing an appointment, always asking about her needs before his own convenience. "That means a lot," Rick said quietly. "After everything I did, consistency is the least I can offer." "Tell me about the practical changes in your life," Dr. Chen prompted. Rick shifted in his chair. "I'm living in a small apartment now, working for Thomas at a salary that's about 1/10 of what I used to make. It's been an adjustment, but it's taught me what actually matters." Kate watched Rick as he spoke. The change in him was dramatic, but she remained cautious. Ashley Santelli had shown her how completely someone could transform their persona when it served their purposes. "Kate, what are your biggest concerns about moving forward?" Dr. Chen asked. "How do I know this is real?" Kate said. "How do I know Rick won't meet another woman who makes him feel young and successful and abandon Emma and me again?" It was a question that haunted Kate every time she considered reconciliation. Rick had been completely devoted to their marriage until he wasn't. How could she trust that his current commitment would be more lasting? "That's a fair question," Dr. Chen said. "Rick, how do you respond to Kate's concern?" "I can't prove it won't happen again," Rick said honestly. "All I can do is show Kate every day that I understand what I lost and why I lost it. I've been working with my own therapist to understand how I became vulnerable to Ashley's manipulation." "What have you learned?" Kate asked. "I learned that I was living my entire life seeking external validation. My self-worth was tied to how much money I made, how successful my business was, how other people perceived me. When Ashley told me I was special and deserving of better, it fed an ego that was always hungry for more." Kate appreciated Rick's insight, but she needed more than psychological awareness. "What's different now?" she pressed. "Now my self-worth comes from being Emma's father," Rick said simply. "When I hold our daughter, when I see her smile at me, when I successfully get her to sleep or make her laugh, that's when I feel most like myself." Kate felt a flutter of hope. Rick's relationship with Emma had been the most convincing evidence of his change. He was patient with midnight feedings, gentle during diaper changes, and completely focused on Emma's needs during his visits. "Dr. Chen, can someone really change this fundamentally?" Kate asked. "Kate, significant life trauma can create opportunities for genuine transformation," Dr. Chen explained. "The question isn't whether people can change, but whether they're motivated to do the hard work of sustaining that change over time." "I'm motivated," Rick said firmly. "Kate, I lost everything that mattered because I made selfish, stupid decisions. I destroyed the best thing in my life, our family, for someone who saw me as nothing more than a retirement plan." Kate looked at Rick and saw something she hadn't seen in years: vulnerability. The confident, controlling man she'd married had been replaced by someone who understood failure and its consequences. "There's something else we need to discuss," Kate said carefully. "I'm pregnant again." The words hung in the air like a confession. Rick's face went through a series of emotions: shock, joy, fear, and something that looked like determination. "How long have you known?" Rick asked softly. 2 weeks. I wanted to be sure before I told anyone." "How do you feel about it?" Dr. Chen asked Kate. "Terrified," Kate admitted. "I'm raising Emma as a single mother, just starting to rebuild my life. Adding another baby to the mix feels overwhelming." "And Rick, how are you processing this news?" Rick was quiet for a long moment, staring at his hands. When he looked up, his eyes were bright with unshed tears. "I'm grateful," he said finally. "I'm grateful for another chance to be present from the beginning. I missed Emma's birth because I was married to a criminal in Las Vegas. I missed her first days because I was too proud to admit my mistakes. This baby won't have those memories." Kate felt her own eyes filling with tears. Rick's response was exactly what she'd hoped for, but hadn't dared to expect. "What would you want from me during this pregnancy?" Rick asked Kate. "I want you to be present. I want you to come to doctor's appointments. I want you to be someone I can depend on when I'm tired and scared and feeling overwhelmed." "I can do that. I want to do that." Dr. Chen leaned forward. "Kate, this pregnancy gives you both an opportunity to build new patterns. Rick, this is your chance to show Kate that you can be the partner and father your family deserves." After the counseling session, Rick walked Kate to her car. Emma was with Jen for the afternoon, giving Kate and Rick time to talk privately. "Kate, I need you to know something," Rick said as they reached her car. "Even if you decide you can't forgive me, even if we never get back together, I'm going to be the father Emma and this new baby deserve. That's not conditional on our relationship." Kate felt something shift inside her chest. For months, she'd been waiting for Rick to make his commitment to fatherhood contingent on winning her back. The fact that he was explicitly separating the two issues suggested a maturity she hadn't seen before. "That means a lot," Kate said. "There's something else. The FBI found some of Ashley's assets in an offshore account. I might recover about 20% of what she stole. If that happens, I want to put it in trust for Emma and the new baby." Kate was surprised. The old Rick would have seen recovered money as an opportunity to rebuild his lifestyle. "You don't want to use it to get back on your feet financially?" "I'm already back on my feet," Rick said. "I have a job, an apartment, and enough money to cover my basic needs. Our children's financial security is more important than my comfort." Kate studied Rick's face, looking for signs of manipulation or calculation. What she saw was sincerity and a humility that seemed genuine. "Rick, I'm not ready to move back in together or restart our marriage," Kate said carefully, "but I'm willing to try co-parenting with real partnership. We can take it day by day and see how it goes." "That's more than I deserve," Rick said. "Thank you for giving me this chance." As Kate drove home, she thought about the journey that had brought her to this point. A year ago, she'd been a pregnant wife who trusted her husband completely. Then she'd been a betrayed woman fighting for survival while caring for a premature infant. Now she was a mother of one with another baby on the way, slowly learning to trust again while protecting herself and her children. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in months, Kate felt hopeful about the future. Whether or not she and Rick ultimately rebuilt their marriage, Emma and the new baby would have a father who understood the value of family. And Kate had learned that she was stronger than she'd ever imagined. She'd survived betrayal, financial devastation, and single motherhood. She'd protected her children and rebuilt her life from nothing. Whatever came next, Kate knew she could handle it. That evening, as she fed Emma her bedtime bottle, Kate's phone buzzed with a text from Rick. "Thank you for today. Give Emma a kiss from Daddy. I love you both." Kate looked down at Emma, who was staring up at her with bright, curious eyes. "Your daddy's learning how to be the man we deserve," Kate whispered to her daughter. "And maybe, just maybe, we're going to be okay." Emma made a soft sound and closed her eyes, trusting completely in her mother's arms. And for the first time since Rick had told her to pack her bags, Kate felt genuinely at peace. The future was still uncertain, but it was theirs to build together. One day, one choice, and one moment of love at a time. If you want to know how a criminal mastermind nearly destroyed an entire family and what happened when her past finally caught up with her, hit that like button right now, because this story has more twists than you can imagine. Drop a comment and tell me, would you have seen through Amber's deception? Share this with someone who needs to hear about the warning signs of manipulation. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell, because stories like this remind us that truth really is stranger than fiction.